So it seems like there's a shift in the type of content that is getting views right now. Maybe you've noticed this. You've seen small channels blowing up with only a handful of videos. Or maybe you've seen on your homepage in the first fold, pretty average videos from very small creators being promoted by the algorithm. Or you've clicked on a successful video and in the recommended sidebar, you see the same thing. Look, 2025 is here and it really does feel like YouTube is kind of in almost easy mode. I know it's a very bold claim. There are a lot of people out there struggling to get views and subscribers right now. But I think a lot of us are noticing a shift, and you can see for yourselves, the algorithm is promoting more small channels. And I've been thinking about 3 big opportunities recently that if you can capitalize on them, it really kind of does put YouTube in easy mode if you're a small creator. So if we think about where YouTube used to be, not long ago, the culture was very different. High production value, retention optimization. Optimized videos were celebrated. Mr. Beast was king, and it felt like every month there was a new article going out talking about how this new YouTube video spent more money than an entire TV show. And because this was pedestalized, content that didn't have that higher production value was seen as worse content. But something interesting I've noticed, every culture seems to have a counterculture. And as the time goes on, the counterculture grows and grows and grows until the counterculture becomes the culture. And I think recently that's what we've been witnessing. Now, I'm not saying the high production Mr. Beast style of videos don't work. If you look at the views, they clearly do. But more and more people are getting tired of that high dopamine, meticulously scripted and edited and filmed content. And so I think if your content allows for it, if you can embrace low production value content, lean into that opportunity, it could be a huge win for a small creator in 2025. Now, again, I'm not saying high production content is going anywhere, but when you think about this practically as a small creator, leaning into this more raw, authentic style of content, if you can, is one, so much cheaper for you. For example, even me, I'm recording with like $100 microphone. I've got 2 really cheap lights from Amazon, got an LED strip down the background, a super cheap pop filter. My entire setup costs, I don't know, I'll put it somewhere on screen. But there are tons of examples of people with even less production value, literally just like a phone and a microphone, who are absolutely killing it. And so not only does that mean setup and equipment wise, the barrier to entry is so much lower, but it also means you don't have that many skills to learn anymore. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't require any skill to create these types of videos. It definitely does. But if we look at the really high production content, you need amazing cameras. You need to know how to edit really well. You need to know how to animate really well. Maybe you even need advanced CGI type skills. What about audio design? How about color grading? How about meticulous retention script writing? How about extreme thumbnail design to the point that you can create scenes that don't exist from scratch? And so much more. And each of those skills is something that's going to take you a lot of time to learn and master, or money to outsource to someone else. But now you can come in with this lower production value content and really beyond the bare minimum basics of like just cutting a video, adding text to it, maybe adding an overlay here and there, or just scaling a thumbnail shot, maybe adding a little bit of text to it, which are all technical skills you can learn in literally a single day using free software. And the only other skills you kind of need are to be able to speak extemporaneously and actually articulate yourself. You need to be a good storyteller so you can hook people emotionally. You need to be good at identifying objectively interesting topics to create your videos around. And if you can get that down, you now have like 80 to 90% of the skill set you need to succeed. And it's far easier and faster to learn this smaller subset of skills than all of the skills you would need to learn to create the high production value content. But all that being said, there are still things you will need to do regardless of what type of YouTuber you are. Finding the time to do that is a problem, which leads me to the next opportunity I think is massive in 2025. See, just a couple of years ago, AI like ChatGPT never really existed to the extent it is now. But now we're seeing so many new tools come out that take jobs that used to take hours and do it in minutes. For example, video editing. Regardless of what type of content you create, unless you're a very good speaker, you're probably going to need to go into your video and cut out silences, bits where you pause or stop talking or lose your train of thought. For example, what video you're watching right now, every time the video cuts is usually a time where I am not quite happy with what I've said and I'm going to re-record that line, or I didn't end it right and so we cut. Now, I used to have to go through a video and do all of that manually. Now there's AI software like TimeBolt, which is the one I use, or you can use something like Gling, and some editing software have this inbuilt now where you can automatically cut out those silences in a few clicks. Or how about adding captions or text? I used to have to go into my editing software and manually write out every single word. Now there's AI platforms like Opus Clip that do all of that for you. And not only that, but they'll add in cool animations. They'll add in punch-ins and punch-outs, zoom-ins and zoom-outs. They can cut between multiple camera angles all automatically. Or how about taking long-form videos and repurposing them into shorts? These things that used to take hours, Opus Clip does in a few clicks. I am sponsored by Opus, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But for what it's worth, I found every other AI short-form editing tool I could find and reviewed them before deciding Opus was the best and signing with them. But really, the point here is not to talk about specific tools. It's to illustrate that technology for creators is moving in leaps and bounds. Jobs that used to take literally tens of hours now will take you 15 minutes to get to the same or sometimes an even better result. And so for those who put emphasis on trying to work smarter and not harder, if you spend a little bit of time finding the right tools that fit your workflow, you can create content 2, 3, 4, 5 times faster. And when you can create more content, you get more views, more subscribers, more money. And speaking of money, the third thing I wanted to talk about is I'm seeing really small creators making crazy amounts of money right now. And I think I have a unique perspective on how you could take advantage of this and why this is happening, because I used to work in a marketing agency and we did all kinds of advertising. We would advertise for businesses in TV and radio, but we'd also do paid Facebook ads and paid YouTube, those skippable ads you see. Pretty much any advertising channel you can think of, we ran ads on it. But something I noticed during my 4 years in the agency is every year advertising got more difficult for a couple of reasons. One, there's more competition, especially digital. Traditional brands were jumping on Facebook ads and YouTube ads, and then when there's more competition, you have to spend more money to get your ad out there. Also, you would think advertising technology would be getting better. In actuality, it's getting worse because more and more privacy laws are being implemented, meaning big platforms like Facebook and YouTube are able to track and provide advertisers with less and less data on their users, meaning that advertisers have a harder time trying to target people who would actually want to buy their stuff. You probably see this right now. How many ads do you get on Facebook or on Instagram or before YouTube videos from brands or companies where you're like, I would never buy this. I'm not interested in this at all. And lastly, there's plenty of studies out there showing that people's trust in big brands and corporations is just going down. And when people trust advertisements less, where do they go? To influencers. And so what I notice is a lot of brands, their advertising margins, the amount of money they're making is getting less and less and less each year, to the point that some of them now can't afford to keep advertising the way they used to. They can't make profit that way. And so at that point, they're left with two options. They can either start creating their own organic content, which can take a lot of time and effort and the right skilled people, or they can opt to hire influencers. And so essentially, more and more companies are turning to influencers and sponsoring them to promote their products, which means more sponsorships and money for creators like you. And you might be thinking, but Marcus, I'm a really small creator. Here's the thing. I literally have a student, shout out to Emma if you're watching this, with around 2,000 subscribers. She just got sponsored by Walmart. Not once, but twice. Now, I'm not going to share exactly how much money she made, but from those 2 videos she got sponsored by, she made more money that month than the average person makes from their full-time job with 2,000 subscribers. And so long story short, I think the culmination of these 3 things, a shift towards people valuing lower production value, more authentic content that has a much lower barrier to entry, the massive influx of AI and new YouTube tools that automate so many essential yet what used to be very time-consuming processes, and brands realizing they have to shift their focus from traditional advertising to sponsoring influencers. It's led to a very good situation for creators. And these are all things that are happening now or just happened recently. Now look, YouTube is in easy mode relative to how difficult it will be. It doesn't mean it's easy, but the opportunities you have right now, they're not going to get better if you wait. It's only going to get harder. And so I'm creating this video because I think in 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, a lot of us are going to look back at this period and think, wow, that was like one of the golden eras for new creators. And so I'll leave you with this. As someone who has been on YouTube for nearly 10 years, created multiple channels, and I have a lot of students. I've worked with a ton of other channels beyond my personal ones. I would say 2025 is the year for you to lock in. Whether you're thinking about starting a channel or whether you already have a channel, but you're not fully committed to it, if it's your dream, really give this thing your best shot. Because when you're old and you're on your deathbed, you're going to regret the things you didn't do. So if anything in this video has spoken to you, this is your sign. Lock in, make this thing happen, and let's make 2025 the best year of your life as a creator. So I hope this video gave you some interesting things to think about, and good luck to you.